As NASCAR gets ready to head to Kansas, we get ready to give out some predictions as the Cup Series is rapidly approaching the halfway point of the regular season. I'm Brandon Monroe, and alongside me, as always, is Mark Chavez. And as I already mentioned, we're getting close to that halfway point, so it's a good time to analyze and dissect what is going on in the playoff picture for all of NASCAR's major series.
After Race 4 at Coda in the Truck Series, we had Zane Smith and Chandler Smith already locked in. At the time, we made pretty similar predictions across the board, really. But for the Truck Series, we both had Derek Kraus falling out of the playoffs. He was in the playoffs at the time, and Brandon had Tyler Ankrum falling out, and we were both fairly consistent. We both had Carson Hocevar in, although you had Grant Infinger also getting in. And right now, you're looking pretty good as you are spot on the money in terms of who's making it in so far. All of your picks are in the Truck Series. I still had Ankrum in, and not Carson Hocevar, or sorry, not Grant Infinger. And currently Ankrum is on the outside looking in. Since then, Ben Rhodes and John Hunter have also locked in playoff spots. So we are down to just 6 spots left in the Truck Series playoffs. Those spots currently belong to Stuart Friesen, Carson Hocevar, Ty Majeski, Christian Eckes, Grant Infinger, and Tanner Gray. Brandon, do you have any of those falling out?
I have one. I have one of those guys falling out, and that's Tanner Gray. You know, I think we might have jumped the gun on him. He has gotten a lot better so far this year. He's definitely, put together some good runs, but when you look at the actual races that he did get some of those good finishes at, one was Daytona, one was Atlanta. Both restrictor plate races. He's had some okay showing since, but I just feel every week it's kind of a little bit further off what the rest of the pack is doing. So for that reason, I have him slipping out.
Yeah, I also have him slipping out. I don't even, other than Dirt Bristol, I feel like he wasn't even that far off the pace a lot of the time. Probably pace that's good enough to maintain even the lead he has now, but certainly the lead he wouldn't have been if he hadn't been caught up in so many accidents since then. He's still hung on to that spot, but I want to say he was like 5th at the time we made the last predictions, has fallen all the way to 10th, and has a decent lead right now, but not a huge one by any stretch of the means. So I also have Tanner Gray falling out. Who do you have making it in?
I have Matt Crafton making it in.
All right.
I know do we both have Matt Crafton making it in?
We have continued the consistency. We both have Matt Crafton making it in.
I mean, I know with me anyways, I know he just had that DQ, but looking at all the people around him in points, and if I feel like Gray's going to come out, somebody's going to have to go in. I don't really see any of the people back there winning a race, so it really just comes down to who do I think can run the most consistent out of all of them the rest of the way, and for me, that's Crafton.
Yeah, the other 2 names that are right there are Tyler Ankrum and Derek Kraus, and they both have slid even more, really, than Tanner Gray has. They were both in the playoffs right now and are decently out. I think everyone's out at least 20 points right now. And I just have a hard time thinking they'll be able to make up more points than Crafton.
Mm-hmm.
So we are consistent in that. Last time, and I imagine this has changed as well, but last time we both predicted that Tanner Gray would win a race, and then I also predicted that Ty Majeski would win a race for the first time in their careers. What are your first-time winner predictions looking like right now?
Right now, it's just Carson Hocevar. It wouldn't shock me if Majeski did pick up his first win, but I don't know. It's just Hocevar, maybe he's just been a little bit closer. Majeski's shown speed, but I think Hocevar's just been a little bit better. And in the case of Majeski, he'll get up there and he'll kind of fall back. Maybe I'm just playing into how great he was at Darlington and Dirt Bristol, but to me, I feel like Hocevar's closer. Seems a little bit more consistent, and I think he's going to be the only one to get his first win before the season's over.
Yeah, I've stuck with Majeski like I did last time, but also switched out Tanner Gray for Carson Hocevar. I was on the fence of it. He finished real well at Darlington last year, and then only had, I think, 4 top 5s the whole season last year. So he's ran good before there, and not really had it translate to as good of a run anywhere else. But definitely seems better this year, and I think he'll break through. I think Ty Majeski. I'm still going to stick with that one as well. He also had some speed over the last couple weeks, and it only in the truck series it really only takes a couple guys having issues, and then really anybody can win. And then it doesn't even have to be big issues either. It could just be a bad restart, and boom, the race could be wide open. So I stuck with Majeski, but also put in Kosovar. All right, for your final four. Last time we both again picked the same: Zane Smith, Chandler Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, and Ben Rhodes. Are there any changes to that for you?
I'm just keeping it the same. Those four right now.
There's just really no one else that.
There's no one else there that's to that level anyway.
The only one, and it's funny because he's actually ahead of Zane Smith in points right now, is Stuart Friesen. But the last couple weeks have not been good. I know Bristol's a very unique track, but the fact that he ran as poor as he did there is concerning. And I mean, he ran basically behind Todd Bodine, and this is not, no knock on Todd Bodine. He's a potential Hall of Famer one day and had a great career, but he's also 50-something years old, hadn't raced in 10 years. And he just outdrove his teammate, Stuart Friesen, at Darlington basically the whole day. Other than when he spun and he still managed to go out and finish ahead of Stuart Friesen. So the last couple weeks have felt really off and somewhat concerning over a pretty strong start in the season that I still don't have him making the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Zane, too. I know he is behind Friesen, but he's only back there because of that DQ that he had at Las Vegas. If he ends up, finishing where he did, not take that penalty, he's probably second in points right now. So, something else to think about there. He shouldn't be behind Friesen in points. It's just a situation that they got themselves into with the bad lug nuts on the truck.
That's true. He would, I think, I mean, he's only 13 points behind John Hunter. He definitely lost 13 points, more than 13 points in that. So he would very solidly be in second. All right, for the champion, last time in our pattern of consistency, we both went with Zane Smith. Are you sticking with Zane, or do you have someone else here?
I think right now I'm beginning to come around on John Hunter Nemechek. I feel like this series just been, a little bit better, maybe more mature, shown more of a veteran presence, even though he's always, I think a lot of people are considering him a veteran in the truck series last year just because he had spent so much time in there. But I don't know, there's just a different demeanor to him, to the point where I don't think he's going to be super aggressive at Phoenix in the championship race and pretty much take himself out on the first 5 laps of the race. I think he's beginning to get back to where he was last year, very dominant performance at Darlington. I think that could snowball into something as we close in on the end of the regular season, and I have a feeling he's going to have a lot of momentum, a lot of playoff points built up. He's going to carry that in through all the rounds, and when he does get to Phoenix, you're not going to see him make the same mistake he made last year.
I don't need to say anything, really. We both changed our mind to the same person. I mean, I echo pretty much all of it. He's started off the season terribly, has rebounded real strong, currently only 30 points back, and I would not be surprised to see him in the points league before too long. All right, heading into the Xfinity Series. Last time after Coda, we had 4 drivers already locked in: Austin Hill, Ty Gibbs, Noah Gregson, and AJ Allmendinger. At the time, we had Riley Herbst, who was, I think, around 12th in the standings, fall out, and had Landon Castle, who was out of the standings, make it in. I mean, we were right so far in that we had Landon Castle making it in. Unfortunately, we had the wrong driver falling out, as Sheldon Creed has had a horrendous last month and a half or so, and is currently, I believe, 3 spots out over a full race out of the playoffs. Since then, we also had 3 more winners lock up their spot in Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, and Brandon Jones, leaving 5 spots left in the Xfinity Series playoffs. Currently having those spots belonging to Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst, Ryan Sieg, Landon Castle, and Daniel Hemrick. Do you have any of those guys falling out?
I don't. I think it's going to stay the same. The only one that could do it, in my opinion, is Sheldon Creed, and he'd have to win a race. And I just don't think they're there at this point. So because of that, I don't see anything changing. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I was on the fence with it, mostly because I wanted to make a prediction that someone would fall out because it's just a lot more exciting if someone falls out.
That's
Though
true.
I also stuck with nobody falling out. I mean, I'll give it to Alfredo. I know Hemrick and Castle have had their issues, but the fact that he is that guy, 13th in points, only 22 back, has been pretty impressive to me. I think it's around 22. Might actually be more now, but I can't remember for sure. It's pretty impressive to me. He obviously has avoided a lot of the chaos that a lot of the other guys have gotten into, but I still just don't see them having the speed. It would take something catastrophic for Castle or Hemrick down the stretch because even if they fall out now, they'll have plenty of time to get back in. Now, if come another 6 weeks or so, and Alfredo's still right there, then I start opening up the possibility of maybe, especially if Sheldon Creed's still a full race back, maybe Alfredo can pull off something because at that point it wouldn't take much. But for now, I'm also sticking with these 5 guys are the 5 remaining that are going to make it. Last time in the Xfinity Series, we had our first-time winners. Both of us had picked Ryan Sieg. I picked Sam Mayer as well. Any changes to that, Brandon?
Yeah, we're gonna swap Ryan Sieg out for Sam Mayer. Junior Motorsports is just too damn good right now. I think they're gonna end up taking a lot of wins away, even in races that could go to anybody. So even plate races. I mean, they got the monkey off their back at Dega. There's a good chance that that'll at least happen at Daytona. Maybe not Atlanta. That one's a little crazy, so who knows? But Daytona, I think that they're going to get one there. So it just comes down to the opportunities. I don't see a lot of these other drivers from other teams just have a chance, except for Sam Mayer. So he's on Junior Motorsports. He's getting close. He just needs to put a full race together, but I think he's going to be the only person that does in terms of someone getting their first career win.
I still have Sam Mayer as well, but I'll still have Ryan Sieg, mostly out of just sheer hope that it happens someday. I was on the fence about keeping him in there, but I'm gonna hold fast. I'm gonna hold faith.
I will say
he will make it. He will get a win.
I will say if there was one person that I was on the fence of and I didn't put him on there, we'll see in a couple weeks if he keeps showing up. But Riley Herbst is looking a lot better than he has.
I was also close with putting Herbst on. At one point, I had him on the list. I dropped him off. I went back and forth on it, but
he's
for now he's off the
yet.
list.
Yeah,
but he's close.
If he keeps it going, he might show back up on there at some point. So show up on there. But we'll see.
All right. Last time we also both had Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and Josh Berry making the final 4. Any changes to that for you?
Keeping it the same. Those are the 4 best guys right now. Maybe if Sam Mayer starts putting together just consistent results, he could knock one of the 2 out, either Allmendinger or Ty Gibbs. Right now, I think. Or not, wait, you know what? No, I had Allmendinger in there before. Scratch that. Throw him out. My mistake. I have Gregson, Ty Gibbs, Allgaier, and Josh Berry. So we are going to swap Allmendinger out. The other 3, they're just too good. I know Gibbs maybe has slid back a little bit over the last couple weeks, but that's really just because Junior Motorsports has been performing like they have. That's why he hasn't really gotten a lot of laps led. I know he struggled a little bit at Darlington, but still, I think those 3 are the best 3 guys, and then you just swap out Allmendinger for Allgaier because I don't know how much speed Allmendinger has at these tracks that aren't road courses. It definitely seems like it's behind the 3 JRM guys I have in Ty Gibbs, and he's going to have to win races in that final 8 round, and I just don't think he's going to do it.
Just when I thought we were going to have a different final 4, you realize that you initially had Allmendinger in. I've also dropped Allmendinger for Justin Allgaier. I think that Allgaier already has 1 win, only had 2 last year, but has so much more speed. And even with just 2 wins last year, was so close to getting to that final 4. It took Noah winning the penultimate race at Martinsville in order for it to bump out Allgaier. And I mean, they've all just had more speed than Allmendinger. As everyone's being more consistent, they're slowly all reeling him in. If Colleague and the RCR groups find speed, I have no issue putting Allmendinger back in there. But they've really not gained, honestly, maybe lost speed compared to what they had earlier in the season after a pretty horrendous overall race for really both Colleague and RCR at Darlington. All the Colleague cars did rebound for a top 10, but it was a very weak race overall for them, and I couldn't keep him in there. I also bounced him for Allgaier. We also both had Noah Gragson winning the championship. Are you sticking with that?
I am. It definitely helps that it's at Phoenix and he was so dominant there at the beginning of the season. So I think he's shown the most speed out of anyone. Maybe not the most consistency, but I think he has shown the most speed, and I expect him to keep doing that. And just given the whooping he put on him in the spring at Phoenix, it's hard for me to say that he's not going to do it again at this point. So we're going to go with Gregson.
Everything you said is right, except I still wound up picking Justin Allgaier instead.
Oh man,
you want it to be him. I want it to be him. He's gonna get it done this year. The JRM's never had this much speed as a whole organization. He's gonna get it done. I have faith. I'm just a lot of faith here in the Xfinity series. A lot of faith picks, but I think he'll get it done. And concluding with the Cup Series, after COTA, after race 6, we had 6 different winners: Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, and Ross Chastain. So even after race 6, already down to just 10 spots left. At the time, you picked Kurt Busch and Eric Almirola to fall out. I picked Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick to fall out. And we both had Hamlin getting in. You had Austin Dillon getting in. I had Eric Jones getting in. I'm kind of all over the place with this one. We both were right. Kurt Busch has fallen out in what has been a horrendous... I don't think we expected him to be out by now, to be honest. It was more of, I feel like, a longer-term play, but he's plummeted since then. And we both had Hamlin getting in, and he won a race literally the next week, since this was right before Richmond. Went out, won that race. Neither of us had Christopher Bell getting in. He has managed to race his way in. Neither of us had Tyler Reddick falling out. He has, for the time being, fallen out. Also, neither of us had Daniel Jones falling out. He has also...
Jones. Wrong sport.
Gotcha. Daniel is on my thing. They're right next to each other. Daniel Suarez falling out, and he is also falling out. I did have Eric Jones falling out, or not. I did not have him falling out, and he is currently out. Although it's by the narrowest of margins between him and Dillon and Tyler Reddick right there. Since COTA, we've had 4 more drivers punch their ticket into the playoffs. For now, it's all. This all can change the second we get 17 winners. But for now, 4 more drivers have metaphorically punched their ticket. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and the already mentioned Denny Hamlin, which, for the time being, leaves just 6 spots for the Cup Series playoffs, currently occupied by Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, and Austin Dillon. I assume you have at least one person falling out still.
Yeah, I still have Almirola falling out. I have Reddit getting in. And that's it. Harvick is right on that line right now. It could go either way, but I just don't know if anybody behind that cut line other than Reddick can win a race. I mean, Eric Jones has come close. Daniel Suarez has come close. I have a lot more faith in Reddick to get that win if he needs to. And if he doesn't get it, I think he's been faster than the other two, and he's going to go up there and get past Almirola in points. I think Austin Dillon, faster than Almirola. They just have to iron the things out that have gone wrong, which over the last couple weeks they have. So as long as they keep doing that, I think he'll get by Almirola. Kevin Harvick barely is going to stay in my opinion, although it is very close. If Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, even Chris Buescher, Justin Haley, somebody back there gets a win, I think Harvick's going to be the one out. But right now, I see him being the last guy in, just skinning on by.
I also have Eric Almirola falling out, Tyler Reddick making it in. But I also think Harvick's going to fall out and Eric Jones is going to make it in. And I don't think Eric Jones needs a win to do it. He's been just as fast as Austin Dillon by basically every metric, and I think they both can easily catch and pass Harvick in points. And I mean, I don't think Reddick needs to get a win either, although with the way his races go, he might end up needing to get one.
Yeah.
But I certainly think he also has had the most speed to get one. So I think both of the Stewart-Haas cars fall out, and Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick make it in. And I think Chase Briscoe should be very, very fortunate that he has a win. Otherwise, he'd be right in this conversation with them. But I just have not... ran okay. Obviously, he still got a top 5, ran pretty good at Darlington, but I don't know, something about the fact that he barely got into the top 5 at the end, juxtaposed with record for most top 10s at a track. Like, it's the bare minimum you expect from Harvick at Darlington. Like, it's one of his best tracks for finishing. Of course, you'd expect him to get a top 5, but he was never really competitive in terms of winning the race. And they struggled to get a lot of stage points, more than some of the other drivers, but don't have a ton, so don't have a big window if things go wrong. And that's kind of been the difference right now with Harvick and Almirola and then Dylan Jones and Reddick, is that how many points have Dylan Jones and Reddick left on the board?
A ton.
Way more than Harvick or Almirola have. And I think that to me, Jones and Reddick in particular definitely need to do a better job of getting those points, but I think they will. And I think they will both easily pass the 2 Stewart-Haas veterans. For our first-time winners, last time, obviously, at this point, we had already had several first-time winners. 3 of them with Cindric, Chastain, and Briscoe. But you still predicted Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez. I also predicted Tyler Reddick, though not Daniel Suarez. I assume you've dropped Daniel Suarez from this prediction, but
yes,
I was gonna say this is a season-long prediction. This isn't just before the playoffs, so Suarez could still get a win once the playoffs start and not be in it. But sounds like you did drop Suarez.
I did drop Suarez. The only person I have getting a win for their first career win is Tyler Reddick. Yeah, another second place finish last week at Darlington. Shown a lot of speed, led a bunch of laps. It's kind of, I'm in the same boat with him as I am with Sam Mayer. It's just, it's gotten too close for it not to happen. And it literally should have happened at Dirt Bristol if not for the move Chase Briscoe decided to make. So for me, Tyler Reddick, at some point this year, will get his first career win.
How bad will Chase Briscoe feel if Tyler Reddick ends up missing the playoffs because of that? I do feel like, I don't think a lot of drivers would care. I don't think Chase Briscoe is one of them, though. I think Chase Briscoe would absolutely care.
He'd feel bad about it. Maybe he wouldn't remember at first, but somebody would remind him, probably on Reddit.
Yeah, he is one of the only guys that's still on Reddit fairly consistently. So.
Yeah, so I'm with you. He'd probably be like, "Man, I'm an asshole."
Especially since he's sitting here, right? Like, he only is in because of a win. It's possible. Not right now. Right now he's still in, but barely. And then he would have taken away Reddick's win. Although I expect Reddick to get one as well. He is my only pick. And we talked about this before, but other than Reddick and Suarez, I think that's basically it. Period. Yeah. Like, it would take, I think literally anywhere else it would take something crazy or a plate win. There are only a handful of guys past that don't have wins at this point.
Right.
Corey LaJoie, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, Ty Dillon. I'm pretty sure. I mean, if you want to throw Cody Ware in, you could throw Cody Ware in. I think that's it.
Yeah, for full-time guys, that sounds right. That sounds right.
So, and then this isn't any knock against them as much as it is their equipment for the most part. A couple exceptions like Harrison's equipment could win, but something with that team right now, whether it's him, I don't know. They're just off. But I mean, you go into plate track, of course, like Todd Gilliland can win with. I mean, that team's won several times. He has a good teammate in restrictor plate racing, but as it stands, I think these two are it. And unless, well, we'll see. I was gonna say unless Ty Gibbs comes to the series next year, I don't think we'd get one next year either. But if Noah was full time. If Colin got their cars a little bit better, if that's who he's full time with, I could see that too. I'd be surprising, but I could see it next year. But as it stands right now, especially if Reddick and Suarez get wins, we might not see a first time winner next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for the final 4, we both had Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick getting in. You then had Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson. I filled it out with Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain. Has that changed at all for you?
Yeah, no, it has. I still have Chase Elliott getting in the final 4. That's pretty obvious. He's got a pretty big points lead right now in the regular season standings. finally has that win, and it was at an oval, so that really shuts a lot of people up. I think we'll see Chase at Phoenix.
Finished top 5 in the parts car.
Yep. That is true. So I like where he's at right now, and he's probably going to end up winning the regular season championship too at this rate. But for this, I have him getting into the Final Four. Lots of changes on mine. William Byron, 2 wins this year. Should have probably been 3, or at least have another top 5 at the very least. But I like where he's at right now in the midst of a career season. He's my second guy. The next 2, we're going with Kyle Busch. Like, he's been the best Toyota. He's definitely beginning to show, signs of the old Kyle Busch. Even a little bit in his attitude, too, after walking to the mandatory trip to the Infield Care Center after he couldn't get his car into the garage. Just, I don't know, when Kyle starts doing stuff like that, the results start showing, too. So he's already got a win. He's gotten close to a couple other ones. I think he's going to find a way to get to the Final Four. And then this guy stayed the same. I'm still keeping Tyler Reddick in. I mean, not Tyler Reddick, excuse me. Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is who I have as the 4th and final guy there. He's just shown too much speed. Like, it seems like when they don't have issues, he's in the top 5. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is the defending series champion. I have faith that they're going to be able to put it together. Maybe he won't win the championship, but I do have him getting to the Final Four to defend his championship title from last year.
For a second, I thought we were going to somehow end up with the same Final Four.
Oh, man. My 2 screw-ups have just, made your heart stop there.
I also had Chase, Kyle Busch, and William Byron. For a lot of the same reasons. Chase, super solid. They've gotten their cars even better. Finished top 5 in a parts car, same kind of parts car that William Byron did nothing with at Dover. Coming up on several road courses where he can easily bank more playoff points and got a win at the Oval. Kansas, pretty good track for him. Last 6 races, he has the highest average finish of any of the Cup guys. So could definitely see him easily rattling off a few more, and just if they keep running the way they have, it's going to be really hard to catch him with the regular season. For the regular season championship, it's another 15 playoff points, so he's in a good spot. I'm basically the same exact thoughts for both Byron and Kyle Busch. Kyle just there's something about him this year that I don't expect him to go out and dominate a bunch of races, but he's going to get wins when they matter, and I could see him going far, especially as this contract drama maybe continues for a bit. There's some murmurs now. Maybe his attitude is turning off sponsors. So seeing Kyle just kind of give a big FU to the sponsors by going all the way to the Final Four certainly seems possible. And again, Byron having a career year. I stuck with Chastain over Larson. I did have Larson there, not over Chastain, but over Kyle, and I switched it out. Larson, they have the speed. They obviously have the speed. They just can't seem to get out of their own way, and you would assume that's fixed by the time we get to the playoffs, but if it continues, it also just hurts his chances of having those playoff points. I mean, he had a car that could have won for sure, and we don't ultimately know if him rolling backwards killed the motor, but he did spin, which took away at least a shot at the stage win and potentially a shot at the race win, so I think they'll get things righted, but I mean, if they don't, they're going to be in a playoff point deficit, and Ross has just been so strong. And, he either wins or he crashes, it almost feels like, but I mean, another car that could have won on Sunday, unfortunately ended in the wall.
But that's ultimately the reason why I don't have him getting in there, because
that's fair, but yeah. I think he could go. I don't know anyone who's done this recently, but he could easily get to the playoffs, win one race, crash the other 2, but that's still going to be enough to get all the way to the end.
It is, but when you get down to that final round, and just how I look at it, when I see the tracks there, and maybe he'll surprise us, because obviously we haven't gone to Homestead in this car. We're not gonna until then, so maybe he put something together.
He just won Dega.
Yeah, I mean,
you get to that final round, you have what is it? Is it Vegas?
It's Vegas. Yeah, it's Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville,
where he had one of the best cars. Homestead, which we don't know. Martinsville was so weird. He still wound up finishing in the top 5, though.
It's just, my thing with him is that I think everybody's going to be on their A game. I think it's going to be a lot more intense when you get there in the fall. I just don't know if he's going to be able to win. He's going to be
I have
there.
no doubt that he can. He's been a will man his whole life,
It's
or
just
his whole career, and he's always up against the wall anyway. I mean, it kind of really has been his entire career. Every time you feel like he's in a good spot, he makes the most of it, but it's never easy, and I don't think it'll be easy, but I still have faith that he can take it all the way.
Don't get me wrong, it's not going to shock me if he gets to the Final Four, but where I'm at, it's just I don't feel comfortable like putting the money on him right now in that sense, where I just feel a little bit more comfortable with Larson, he's already shown he could do it, and I just, my gut tells me they're going to get it back together. He's not going to win 10 races like he did last year, but it's not going to shock me when. Well, he still could. Theoretically,
at this point, it would be surprising, but like at this point last year, he only had
one win.
So,
until 600.
Of course it could happen.
Like, I just, I think he'll probably end the season with like 4 or 5 wins, and he'll be in the Final Four. That's where I stand.
All right. Last time, in the pattern of just being on the same page, we both picked Chase Elliott for the Cup Series championship. Has that changed?
Still going with him. He seems on a different level right now. It's similar to the pace, probably not quite. I have to go back and like look at all the stats, but it seems similar to what, say, Hamlin and Larson were doing last year, at least in terms of the consistency. I'd like to see more wins from him, but he's just been so consistent. He's shown so much speed. I think he's going to keep it up, and he'll be our champion at the end of the year.
He already has the win sooner than Hamlin did last year.
That's true.
But
yeah,
I mean, of course, I would also love to see more wins out of him. But I also have Chase. Just it's Phoenix is a good track for him. So hard to say. Could have won Phoenix this year if his pit crew was competent. But it's a good track for him, and he just has his best car right now. Honestly, if I picked second, it probably would be Kyle, to be honest, right now.
I agree with you.
I just this feeling, man. Like, I know it's funny. He just had all this drama because of him spinning and parking the car there and all that. But I don't know. He's always been the guy that feeds off of it. It really feels like.
Man, they have their baby too.
They did have their baby.
You know what happened the last time they had a baby?
He won the championship. Does that mean he's going to get 4? Because then he has to be old enough to take this one on a car ride once he wins another.
Oh, true. I mean, maybe he does, but that's not going to be for a couple of years if he gets there.
Yeah. I mean, it took him a couple of years last time, so. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our predictions. Any surprises from me on them? Anything that surprised you?
I think we're both pretty much going with what we thought and what we felt and talked about over the last couple of weeks and months. I'm not really shocked by anything either of us said.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised you still had Harvick in.
It's close. It's one of those things where I don't expect Harvick to make the mistakes that Eric Jones or, in this case, just Eric Jones, because he's the one I have out, to keep doing. Eric Jones, like, he's done it a couple times this year where these are probably the best cars he's run in well over a year, obviously, dating back to when he was at Gibbs. And I feel like maybe he's thrown away a couple races just because he's trying to get a little too much out of it.
It'll be interesting. We'll check up on these in another month and a half or so. By then, we'll only have 3 or 4 races left in the truck playoffs.
Until the playoffs start?
Yeah. Before the playoffs. So.
Oh, yeah.
By then, we'll see how many spots we have left. None of them have more than 6 spots right now, which is not very many left, and not necessarily a lot of winners left or a lot of winners you would expect to take those spots, but I mean, it could certainly happen.
Hi, Brandon Monroe here. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new content.